And also, we regret to announce the death of former Lone Star goalie Clarence Robert, who passed away in Liberia. And also, it has been reported that the standard bearer of the United Party and the former president of the Republic, Jose Yimam Boaka, is currently hospitalized. So again, guys, that's it for the current events in Liberia. My name is Derek Galley, and this is the Hot Zone. Let me take this time to welcome my panelists to the show. Bobby Mitchell Crawford, Mr. Jai Winkin, we have Bishop Amos Hagar. Welcome to another episode of the show. Let me start with you, Bobby Mitchell Crawford, discuss you're on my left hand side. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Derek. Thanks for having me. It's certainly a pleasure to be here to discuss Liberia, to find solution, not just to criticize, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Bobby Michelle Crawford. It's always a pleasure to have you on this panel. And let's move to you, Mr. Jai Winkin. We are welcome to another episode of the Horizon.
Right. Thank you, Derek, Bishop, the young mayor. I'm happy.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Jai Winkin. We are, and let's come to you, Bishop Hagar. Welcome to another episode of the Horizon.
Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to having a very robust conversation tonight. I believe we are making some impact in the motherland, Liberia.
We are definitely making some impact, and a lot of impact, I should say, because we're here to talk for those that don't have the opportunity to talk, and we're here to discuss the issues. And but like Bobby said, we're not just to criticize, but to profile our solutions to what we think some of the problems are. But again, we have a very beautiful program set up for you. We will be talking about the return of Finance Minister Samuel Tweah to the country after spending a few weeks out of the country to seek advanced health care. So we will talk about that and other issues. But for now, let's take a very brief break. And when we come back, we'll begin our conversation on Finance Minister Samuel Tweah return home from abroad.
Hey there. Many Liberians are members of social clubs, 501c NGOs, and school alumni. Many Liberians are trying to open their own 501c NGOs, home care agencies, and social clubs. Does your organization have a professional website? Does your web platform have the right wording and content to attract grants? Hopefully you're not running your organization only through social media. There's a more professional route. You need an online space where you can craft a positive message about your organization, making your home health agency more credible, which will increase your chances to receive grants. We'll build you a responsive platform for 501c organizations, healthcare agencies, and other types of organizations. We'll provide you with full website maintenance, membership sign-in, private charts, Facebook and WhatsApp integration, live video feed for all your meetings and special occasions, a dashboard for members to see all the activities, and email and text auto reminders for meetings. We'll build with donors and 501cs in mind, and will help you solicit grants and automatic membership due collections. Building you this amazing platform will only be a membership fee of $19 a month. Call or email us now. Let's upgrade your website. Home health agencies and small businesses, you owe it to your company to project the best image possible, and we can make it happen. Visit www.tiamit.com or call 215-966-8679. Ask for Tommy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, as I promised, we have a beautiful program set up for you today. But before we get into our discussion, let me encourage you to go in the comment section and or to go on your Facebook page or Instagram page or whatever it is. You can share the program on your individual page, and you make sure to follow the Liberia Radio and Television Network. That is the network of which you're watching this show. This is the Hard Zone. Here, there's no gimmick, no fluff, just real talk. My name is Derek Yale. Let's get right into our discussion. Let me first invite my panelists back on the screen. And we broke this. So we talked about this a few weeks ago. The finance minister got into an accident, and he had to travel out of the country to seek medical or treatment. And we saw footage of him. He returned to the country this week. So a lot of people has been talking about it. But let's talk about this looking at the health sector. First, let me give you guys the opportunity to give your introduction on this particular discussion, and then we can talk about this, focusing our putting our attention to the health sector in Liberia. But before we do that, let me welcome you to the show, Reverend Addy. Welcome to another episode.
Well, thank you very much. Greetings to my friend and brother Bishop Hagar, Jerry Ken, as Father Mitchell Bomi, and I say greetings to all of you wonderful people and your humble, dedicated listening audience. Happy New Year. God bless.
Thank you very much, Reverend Addy. So let's jump right into the discussion. Bishop Hagar, I'd like to begin with you. The Minister of Finance, Minister Samuel D. Tweah returned to the country today after several weeks seeking medical treatment abroad. Give us your opening, give us your introduction on this discussion, and then we can follow up with questions.
Well, for me, the health of anybody is very important. And we are very much glad that he did not lose his life in an accident, and he was taken abroad for advanced medical treatment. My regret is that the medical institutions that we have in our country, they do not have the ability to provide any kind of a good medical care for our people. I will hope that with the treatment that Minister Samuel Tweah got from those advanced medical institutions, I don't know whichever country he went to, we give them some impetus to provide at least the bare minimum for our people. If you went across Liberia, from JFK, which is the renowned university teaching hospital, is a referral hospital in Liberia, to all the other institutions, you find out that they don't even have the medication, talk less about the competent staff. So every now and then, our people will go outside the country to seek medical attention. The enormous financial burden you put on the country is just too much. I believe there should be some action plan. I believe the government or any futuristic government should take the initiative that no minister should go outside the country for treatment, because that would give them a reason to fix our medical institution. Some to thank God that you came back, you can get treatment. But what about our people in Sudan, those in West Point? Even with typical medicine like malaria medication, they can't get it from the Detroit Memorial Hospital. It's unfortunately, it's a very sad situation.
Thank you very much, Bishop Hagar. I would like to come to you, Mr. Ja Winkin Weir. Our discussion is the return of Finance Minister Samuel Tweah to Liberia after seeking medical treatment abroad. Give us an introduction on that, on this discussion.
Well, well, I think we are happy that our finance minister is back in the country after a recovery. But to just point to what the bishop said, many Liberians don't have the opportunity to go outside the country if they get sick. We have the JFK Medical Center, which I visited when I was in Liberia the last time. Elevators are not even working, no even beds, no stretcher, nothing. So that tells you that our government really need to rethink It's not a question of just building institutions. It is the question of providing health care services to people, especially with trained manpower and good supply that will take care of the people. So in that way, Minister Tweah and the government should rethink that it is not in the interest for the ordinary people that don't have the opportunity to go outside the country for treatment to let down the facilities of our hospitals in the country.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ja Winkin Weah. And of course, let me come to you, the Lord Mayor of Bento, Bobby Mitchell Crawford.
All right, I'd like to pivot away. Obviously, I want to register um, my delight to welcome the finance minister back to Liberia. You know, um, I think I posted a picture of him in the chat room, and I think his time away, he gained some weight. He looks really good though. I think that's a little iron leg cast on his left hand. So from what I gather during the initial stage of the accident, I thought it was something that would have rendered him disfigured. But it was a good thing to see he was smiling. They had supporters and family members around him, and he looks happy. But one thing that I was struck by, and it seems to be a consistent theme with regards to the way we politics, the way we gravitate toward people that are in power. And I don't think I don't want to believe. I don't know whether it's a Liberian thing or what. I'm really bothered by this, right? They have people, T-shirts were printed. The same very people on the blue app on the show advocating for. Swarms of them had T-shirt printed. Welcome home, our hero. Welcome home, Papa. A contingent of buses were at the airport to greet Final Minister. It was like a rock star has arrived in the country. The same very people that healthcare and other business services has eluded them were there in drove to welcome the Final Minister. That just sends the wrong message. And it seems to be a repeated theme all the time. George were all over the country for 41 days. They welcome me in the country. I mean, incentivized says the people that are actually doing it, say, you know what, whatever I'm doing, I think I'm doing the right thing. And it's unfortunate. We all know the healthcare system in Liberia. I don't need to pontificate. I mean, it's been well documented. Infant mortality is up. 71% of our healthcare delivery system is external. It's not internal. Basically, it means that donor countries and other people helping our health delivery system is woefully underfunded. Healthcare system, the JFK, which is the largest referral hospital, is not functional. The College of Medicine they are better receiving funds from the government. So we can go on and on, and just the Tabitha Hospital, one of the best, the only dialysis machine they had that is not functional. But the fact that also the finance minister are involved in an accident, that's another situation about road network. It's deplorable.
Thank you. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you,
I'm
Bobby.
hoping that this will be a lesson for everyone that are in power to see that the country, and the people are in need of development, and they should try to address that.
Thank you very much, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. Let me come to you, and I will come back to you on some of the things you said. But let me come to you, Reverend Addy. Give us your opening comments on the discussion of Minister Tweah returning to Liberia.
Well, I certainly want to bless God for the minister's safe return and how God kept him from such tragic accident, him and his wife and others. I certainly bless God for him, that we can all celebrate his recovery at this point in time. But certainly his travel outside of the country is a testimony of the poor healthcare system we have in Liberia, unable to meet basic injury needs. It is very clear that life expectancy in Liberia is 63, and it's age 63 because of the inability to sustain the human population. Our Human Development Index (HDI), Liberia ranks 162 out of 169 countries. And what that means is your healthcare system is very poor, income earning is very poor, education is very poor in the context of human development and advancement. So it is no secret that many of our hospitals are underfunded. Government needs to do more in that area. And certainly we are hoping that with all of the UN research statistics by World Health Organization, UNAID, and all these different entities that are helping to sustain Liberia through donations, will help to strengthen our healthcare system delivery. So it's a challenge, no question.
Thank you very much, Reverend Addy. Now, listening to all of you guys, it shows that we have a problem with our health sector in Liberia. But before I ask question on that particular subject, let's just say for the record that this is not the first time that this has happened. We have seen the common Liberian man died from sickness, common as headache, and then while government official gets to travel to seek medical treatment. As much as we wish a speedy recovery to the finance minister, it's important that we talk about this. We have identified a problem, but what is the solution? Now let me say this. What about the expensive? What about the expensive? Now, I give one reference. When the late Mobutu Yimpan from Minister of Public Works passed away, the government allocated 150,000. I remember this story very well. Now, since the minister Samuel Tweah is a government official, should we have some type of information on how much was spent on that trip and who pays for it? Was it the salary of Minister Samuel Tweah? Why aren't we talking about this? Should the opposition community be demanding that we know who covers the expenses and how much and the minister spent to cover his treatment abroad? Let me start with you on this one, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. There's the overall expenses for the trip. Should we have some type of information? Should we be demanding the government to provide us that information?
Absolutely. This is where those senator that has oversight responsibility, they should be launching an investigation, not necessarily an investigation, but just a hearing. If it didn't happen in the case of the absence of the president for 41 days, what make you think is going to happen? I mean,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we can't. Everyone has a role in a democratic society.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. There's a committee in the Senate on government and finance. You know, they has a statutory obligation to make sure government abuse and waste are properly investigated, and those that head the different agency, whenever they report of impropriety or whenever there are malfeasance or corruption, it is their responsibility, our lawmakers, the people representative, to call for hearing. And unfortunately, it's not happening. I know when the incident happened on the Lofa Road with the finance minister and his wife, a plane was chartered. And you know the charter plane from Liberia are not small money. You know that. And the medical facility he went to in India, there was no information. This is where the Minister of Information was supposed to come and update the Liberian people on the condition of a government official, a very important, influential government official. He's almost like the person who takes care of the country's money. And he was over there for 2-3 weeks. There was no update on his condition. All we knew that he traveled. I mean, he was in India. Was it India he traveled to with his wife or somewhere, right?
Yeah, I think it was India or Turkey. I'm not quite sure.
There you go.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that went wrong, and the lawmakers should have said, you know what, we need a hearing. And this is something that continued to elude not just George Weah government. You know, it happened during Ellington, during Knucklegate.
But let me hold you here. But what must be done? Because we are seeing a pattern here. Something has to be done. Because, like you said, the legislature is supposed to conduct some type of hearing. But hey, they didn't do it for George Weah for the 8 days stay out of the country. We're very sure they're not going to do this. If they don't do their responsibility, what else can be done? Bishop Hagar, let me take you on this one. I will come back to you, boss.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you so much for bringing an important aspect. I would love that we journalists in Liberia or those who are civil society leaders, there's a provision within the governance structure that is the Freedom of Information Act. Those information will not be given to you unless you go to court and subpoena the government to provide it. So if we have investigative journalists, they can go now to the Temple of Justice and seek that information. It is there, but the government, because of some reason, will not release it to the general public. It may not be very good in the government interest for the government to publish how much thousands or tens of thousands of dollars were used on taxpayer money. But people, journalists, professional journalists need to go down and seek that information using the provision of the Freedom of Information Act. Now, for me, I would say any amount of money that is used to save a human life, I have no problem with that. So, but it's important for the Liberian people to know. Samuel Tweah, being a human being, a Liberian, he was in an emergency situation. They decided all airlifting. While to save a life, they made the decision to save a life. To God be the glory. If Bishop Hagar was in government and had an emergency, I would love for people to at least do whatever it takes to save my life. We are not against people deploying resources to save people's lives, but the information need to be provided to us so that we can at least try to look at how much overall the government is spending on sending people out of the country for medical attention, and how can we manage the resources? Because it's a very poor country. We can't be spending all our money sending people out of the country.
Thank you very much, Bishop Hagar. I'd love to come to you, Mr. Jawinkin. But before I do, let me say something to what to what Bishop Hagar just said. I agree with you. Of course, we need full accountability because the matter of fact is, if it is the minister's salary he used to take care of his treatment abroad, that is perfectly fine. He works for his money. But if it is the Liberian people money, I think we need some type of accountability because that money he used to be treated, it could have treated other people that are dying for healthcare at JFK or other hospital in Liberia today where cannot see any health practitioner. So I think it's important. I think it's important that we all play our individual roles to make sure that we have accountability on all of not just Minister Samuel Tweah, but on all instances where government officials use taxpayer money to get medical treatment and whatever it is. Mr. Jawinkin, we are talking to us about Minister Tweah, not the government of Liberia not providing information on the expenses of Minister Tweah trip to seek a medical treatment abroad.
Okay, before I say anything, I'd like to ask one question to all Liberians. If we were having a white man as a president and finance minister and occupying all the ministry and behaving the way our people in charge are behaving, what were you going to say? Having said that, it seems to be that we as Liberians, we just refuse to learn from our past errors. We keep doing the same thing over and over and expect a different result. Nobody is against anybody to get treatment, but the equality of having access to treatment is what we are talking about. It is the responsibility of the government in line with Article 1 of the Constitution.
Oh,
Thank you very much, Mr. Jawinkin. Reverend Addy, let me come to you on this discussion on the government not providing information or providing full accountability on the minister trip seeking treatment abroad. Give us your take on that.
Well, I think it is within the minister's rights to pursue treatment abroad. But at the same time, he's part of a government who has not been able to provide great healthcare delivery, which is a problem. Um, should the Liberian people inquire as to how he paid for his trip and how much he spent? Was it government's expense? As Bishop Hager stated, the Freedom of Information Act can be filed by advocacy group to know how much he spent. But one can easily surmise that, for such a trip to end that took that long, it didn't cost anything cheap. So he must have certainly used monies. We just need to know whether or not, when the accident occurred, did it occur on the discharge of government's function? And if it sure did that, then of course, as an official of government, maybe government has a role to play in his healthcare and recovery. So I'll leave it at that.
We know that he was coming back from a graduation ceremony that he spoke as a guest speaker. So I don't know if that falls under his role as finance minister, but hey, that we'll leave that over there. But let me ask this question though: what is the opposition role in this entire thing? What is the opposition role in demanding that the government provide information as to whether Minister Tweah used the Liberian people money to seek treatment abroad? I'll come back to you, Reverend Addy. What should the opposition community be doing right now, specifically to this issue? Reverend Addy.
Oh, okay. Well, the role of the opposition is to help the government become better in its discharge of duties. So, should they request to know the expenses incurred from Mr. Tua's trip? I mean, that is something within the purview to do. The opposition is not responsible for providing healthcare system on a large scale. That's a government's responsibility. The opposition can do this best in communities here and there, but that's not the role of opposition to provide, social services, healthcare services. Opposition is there to make sure that government is following the rule of law in the discharge of equitable distribution of resources that will help improve the socioeconomic well-being of Liberian people. That's the role of the opposition.
Thank you. And Bobby Major Crawford, take a stab at
Yes.
that. What should the opposition community must be doing right now,
You
just
know,
specifically to this issue?
whenever the government is on the wrong track, I often see this, what the opposition is supposed to be doing, what a pressure group, civil organization, the churches, the Liberian Council of Churches, and other pressure group in Liberia are doing, to hold the government accountable. The opposition is only effective as the people that are trying to be, are more effective as well. What do I mean by this? Take the retired campaign, for example. Some of them sat home. They send the wrong message to the government that things were okay for them. And that can be tiring. If you're opposition figure, you're advocating on behalf of the people, and you see the kind of a callous, the kind of a ambivalent posture, for lack of a better term, right? The people adapt. It just frustrates you. Nothing gain traction in Liberia. You talk about it, you show the ills that the country is confronted with. You make noise for 2-3 hours, it dies down. The people go about their businesses, and it's unfortunate. So the people too had to rise up. It is not just the opposition thing. You got to be fed up with your living condition. You got to be fed up with your current situation and start getting in buses to go meet somebody at the airport that just sought advanced medical treatment when you don't even have malaria pill to give to your child. That's first class stupidness. I'm sorry. So the Liberian people too, they have a responsibility to petition the government to say, you know what, it is my right for you to provide these things for me. It is my right for you to stop spending almost 61% of generated income is spent on recurring expenditure. They're supposed to be asking these questions and making sure that their respective representatives are actually listening so that they can find a solution to their problem, not just the opposition. I'm just sick and tired of people saying it's the opposition, all the opposition do. You are the opposition. The press is. The market woman is a pimping ball. It's the opposition. Say something.
Thank you very much, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. Now, guys, before I come to you, Mr. Jai Winkin, we and Bishop Haggard, let me ask on the final question on this discussion because we're running out of time for the discussion, and then both of you can just answer the first question and then give your input on the question I'm about to ask. You actually touched on this in your introduction, Bishop Hager, because the hard zone we gave out our opinion, our solution to a problem. We have recognized this problem, this trend in our health sector. And if I correct me if I'm wrong, you said that one of the things that should be done, whether it is this government or the next government that will take, or whatever government take power after the elections, one of the things you mentioned is that no public officials should be allowed to travel outside of the country for abroad, to travel abroad for medical treatment. I'm sorry. Now I want you to build on that, but answer this question: what must
Mr.
be
Jack
done?
Wilkins said that.
Oh, Bishop Hagar,
Oh,
I'm pretty sure I heard you right. You said no government official should be allowed to travel abroad to seek medical treatment. I want you to build on that, but I want you to help us with a solution to this problem. Bishop Hagar, let me start with you on that.
Yeah, I said that I'm being inspired when the situation was very, very, very terrible in Ghana under the leadership of Jerry Roden. There was some executive order, presidential executive order given to ministers and director of government institutions. For example, Jerry Roden said the government will only provide a vehicle for the minister that worth 7,000 US dollars at that time. If you have to drive any other vehicle, you have to buy it yourself, but the government cannot provide that for you. No government official will leave Ghana to go outside of Ghana for medical attention, except if Ghana cannot provide that. What happened in the authority, I think that situation could have been treated in Liberia. But the idea is that we need to go outside the country because it is the only place that can provide the best medical facility for us. Is totally wrong and unacceptable. So let's have an executive order. No government official leaving Liberia to seek medical attention abroad. You can go, but government will not sponsor it. And let's have within our Liberian society, one of the things that's very, very terrible is that there is no medical insurance. There is absolutely no medical insurance. How do we fund our hospitals? If you went to Liberia today, somebody was in Liberia left from the state, and he went to Liberia, their vehicle, somebody, one pen or keke ran to the man and wounded the man. The pen man never even had any. The only thing we could tell the guy is, I'm sorry, I beg you. Nobody can help you. There is no insurance there to cover even costs. The man had to literally call his straight shot to come to America and take care of his own home. Who's going to take care of that? So if you all want to Liberia and anything happen to you in terms of accident, you're on your own. It's terrible. The government need to look at all government officials, those are working for government, even the insurance that they're providing. The hospital don't even honor it because the government have not paid the insurance, the premium for those services provided. So we have to do better than this.
Thank you very much, Bishop Hagar. Mr. Jarwinkin, let me come to you. Bishop Hagar is calling for an executive order to prevent government officials from traveling abroad for medical treatment. Tell us, what do you think the solution for this problem in the health sector is?
Here is what I think. Not only the health sector that have problem in Liberia, and that's what I meant when I said, if we have white man as a president of Minnesota, what will you do? And I'm glad that the lawmaker spoke about that as well regarding our people in Liberia. They think that maybe manna will fall from heaven or only the opposition should get involved. The fact that the citizens of Liberia are just relaxed, are just satisfied with everything. So those in power think that whatever they do is okay. If they get all the money, they give them $1, they are happy about that. But nothing will absolutely change in Liberia unless Liberians, all Liberians, I mean majority of Liberians, think and think to themselves that yes, we need to take action. The same way the people right now where they were fighting with Russian people, Ukraine, it is the citizen before they even got help from America and the rest of the countries. But in Liberia, we are so relaxed. That's why I asked a question: if we had white minister, white president treating our people the same way our own people treating them now, what will we say? So what I'm saying in short, Liberians should wake up. They should not look up to politicians. They should not look up to opposition. They should think about themselves, their lives. Are they okay with what is going on? That's my question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ja Winkin Weah. Let me come to you, Reverend Addy, and I'll take you last on the discussion, Bobby. Uh, the the Bishop Hagar called for an executive order preventing government officials from traveling abroad to seek medical treatment. Mr. Ja Winkin Weah is calling on the people to speak for themselves, speak for what is good for themselves. And I'm coming to you now, Reverend Addy. Talk to us. We have identified a trend, a problem in the health sector. What do you think the solution is?
Well, I can certainly empathize with Bishop Hager's frustration. Maybe if government can invest properly in healthcare, there would be no need to travel outside um, for healthcare solutions. So when you look at your national budget, $777.9 million is what the president proposed for budget 2023, right? Out of that budget, 18.4 million goes to basic healthcare delivery, 8 million goes to drugs, another 8 million has to do with infrastructure development, point 0.8 has I mean not consumables, but basic renovation for the CH Hospital. You can look at your budget and determine where government has placed its interests. Education and healthcare are underfunded in our budgetary allotment at the president's proposed budget. So, as a solution, when you look at all of the corruption in the government, the waste and abuse that we can see, the unaccounted for $11 million for the rice, the unaccounted road fund for RIA, millions of dollars. All of these monies can be redirected to improving our healthcare system, and having a great healthcare system that will prevent ministers from traveling outside. But because they know they have access to means through government's resources, so they can afford to travel outside. So yeah, I can empathize with people who say no. Let everybody go to healthcare system delivery in our country and see whether or not it will not improve the system for their well-being as well, in comparison to that of the common man.
Let me stay with you before I go to Bobby. Which one do you think should happen first? Invest and put more money into the health sector before
Mhm.
preventing government officials from traveling outside the country, or stop them, and that will push them to also help you to push for more money should be invested into the health sector. Which one do you think should happen?
Well, I mean, I don't know as to whether or not you can actually prevent government officials from traveling because
Um,
if they have a dire healthcare need, you can't stop them from traveling because they'll die, because they have the means. So I think that would be a violation of their constitutional right, whether or not they were in government. But I can certainly understand the frustration that because they have the means, so they have neglected the healthcare facility, which is wrong, absolutely wrong. So I think we can walk and chew gum. Government needs to invest more money in our healthcare system delivery. I don't think it's fair to the general population that one group who is in power but not investing in the healthcare but have the means to travel out of the country when they're critically ill while the ordinary man dies from diseases
again,
that
Reverend
could be
Adi,
remedied.
thank you so much. But I would like to stay with you again on something you said. Now, you said preventing the government official from traveling outside the country on their health issues. You're literally telling them to die, and that would be a violation of their right. Now, within that line of thought, isn't it a
What's
violation
what's
of
about
the
the ordinary
people,
people?
the ordinary people that gets to die? Isn't that a violation of the right by not providing adequate health care for them? Aren't you preventing them from receiving the health care they need? And isn't that a violation of their rights? To your point,
Oh,
Reverend Adi.
absolutely. Like I really stated, it is not fair that they can travel and the ordinary people are being deprived right to life. The life expectancy in Liberia is 63 years old.
Mhm.
Why? Because government has not invested the needed resources to improve the health and well-being of the Liberian people as a result of corruption. I
So
watched a video on Facebook where
mhm.
the president was taking a tour of PHP. I think it was yesterday or day before yesterday. He wants to build another park. You're building another park whilst your people aren't healthy enough to play in the park. I think that's a missed priority, and they need to invest that money into healthcare,
Thank you. But
quality healthcare.
let me play with Bishop Hager points a little bit. Now the system is already bent against those people that are deprived adequate health care right now. So don't you think it's important that we go with Bishop Hager idea right now and just pass that executive order for no government officials to travel outside the country? Don't you think that would be fair to everyone since one group is already being deprived?
Well, they say that all politics is local. Ghana's healthcare system is nothing compared to that of Liberia's. So yes, there may come a time when government is able to, when Liberia is able to have a better healthcare system, you can employ this kind of policy. But don't forget that many of your healthcare infrastructure was destroyed during the war. For the last 12 years, Madam Soli was in power. She wasn't able to fix that. So the expectation of human dignity, less more George Weah, and the corruption that rapes this government. So it's quite a stringent approach at this time.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We're running out of time for this discussion. Let me come to you, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. Give us your input. Bishop Hager put a suggested solution, saying that he would recommend that the president, whoever that president is, should pass an executive order demanding or requesting that government officials should stay in country, do
Well,
not travel out of the country. Give us your take.
well, if I'm correct, you said an exception, except in instances where the government or they don't have the facility in Liberia, then they can go, right, Bishop? If they don't have the facility in Liberia, then they can be able to travel.
Yes, that's what I say. Yes.
Yeah, like that's so So let's just I just want
Yeah.
our viewer to know that. So
Right.
Exactly.
we're expecting people to say you don't going nowhere, you will just stay here, we all die together. But we don't want that. It's kind of funny. The Reverend mentioned something that really struck me. What good it is to have a park and the people are not healthy enough to access the facility at that park.
For December's.
Yeah, that's profound. You know, and the life expectancy 63, that's correct. I have folks in our country, we all went to school together. They haven't had a job in like for 30, 40 years. And a lot of them won't have a job until they die. If you've been to Liberia, some of our childhood friends, they look older than us. It's not that we're here in America, we're more handsome. If in the case of a woman beautiful, that's just a hardship, you know. And it's unfortunate. 18 point whatever $1 million allocated for healthcare. That alone is not even sufficient to fully renovate the AM Douglas College of Medicine. It's not even sufficient to renovate existing hospitals in Liberia. When you have a country where the government is the largest employer, then you have a crisis. Earlier, I alluded to 65, maybe it's even higher than that. Recurring expenditure. Basically, what that means, the three branches of government, the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, almost 60-something% of the budget go towards financing their salaries. You can't have a government like that. You can't have
More
a
than
country
that.
like that. Liberia is not poor. I keep saying it. It's just poorly managed.
What do you think should be done, Bobby?
Well, that's why we need a national referendum. You know, any good government, it starts with the executive branch. I always say this to people, right? We have democracy in name, but that's not what we practice. We have an imperial presidency. The executive branch wields considerable power. If a transformational president is elected and say on the ballot, I'm going to put term limit on the ballot. I'm going to make sure, take the case to the Liberian people, have a national referendum. Reduction in lawmaker salary. The insane salary of $13,000 or $13,000 a month should be reduced to $3,000. you will see less and less people trying to occupy our office. Our brother won't be in the village today digging where and asking for donation for us to help him to be a representative in Grand Bassa County. It's a lucrative business. So it takes a transformational executive, so-called imperial president to institute this measure of good governance. Or else we'll just keep going in circle. Even the budget is $1 billion, all the perks and incentive for these government officials will stay the same, if not increase. Look at NASCO, for example, the National Social Security and Welfare Corporation. It provides insurance claim that the bishop talk about that we don't have. Every government worker in that country, when you take a look at your pay stub, there's a section that says employment, health insurance, deduction. Where's that money going? If you get sick as a government employee, you go to JFK, you still have to pay 25 US dollar. So the system is broken. This is where leadership comes in to hold people accountable. You can't have these things, the institution existing, and they're not functional. It's a travesty. So that's where it should start from. We instituting referendum, the citizen holding the government to his feet. I mean, to making sure that their rights are respected, and those services that's supposed to be delivered to them are delivered in a timely manner so that their life can be improved. If we don't do that, we'll just keep saying these things for nothing, and nothing will be done about it. Unfortunately, that's what it is.
Thank you so much, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. And to all of you, thank you all for your contribution on this discussion. But for now, let me say to the audience, you can give us your take in the comment section. And of course, please share the program on your Facebook and Instagram page. And also, you can follow the network on Facebook and YouTube. That is the Liberia Radio and Television Network, the Lrtn Live for short. But for now, we'll take a very brief break. And when we come back, we will dive into the security sector in Liberia, specifically the police, the Liberia National Police bust smuggled arms, ammunition at Freeport. When we come back, we will talk more on that. Again, my name is Derek Alley, and this is the Hard Zone on the Liberia Radio and Television Network. We will see you after this break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You are still watching the Hard Zone on the Liberia Radio and Television Network. My name is Derek Yale, and please continue to share the program on your individual social media page on Facebook, on YouTube. We really appreciate that. And also, you can engage the program in the comment section. Again, this is the Hard Zone here. There's no gimmick, no fluff, just real talk on the Hard Zone. Let me get my panelists back on the screen, and we will get right into our discussion on the focusing on the security sector in Liberia. Guys, we just talked about the health sector, focusing on the minister return to the country. But now let's talk about our security sector, focusing on the discovery of ammunition at the Freeport of Liberia. The Inspector General, the Liberia National Police Inspector General, Patrick Sudu, in a press conference sometime last week, disclosed that smuggling operation involving catches of firearms and ammunition at the Freeport of Liberia. I'm pretty sure you guys have followed the development of that story. But let's use this story to focus on the security sector in our country. Well, let me give you guys the opportunity to, as always, give your introduction on this discussion, and then we can follow up with questions. Reverend Adi, I'd like to start with you on this discussion.
So, in terms of the arms that came through the Freeport, I'm certainly looking forward to the government to furnish us with more results from their investigation. We haven't heard from them. They made some very serious accusation against individual whose picture they posted, but we haven't heard anything else concerning this investigation. But one may clearly surmise that importation of arms is or a reflection of the insecurity we currently face, according to the Office of the Overseas by the U.S. Department. It tells you that there is a serious proliferation of armed robbery in the country, and Liberians are the victims, especially in the capital. Imagine we haven't even mapped out the statistics for what's happening in the interior. So government needs to be, very much involved in the security and well-being of the country. You also see that the police is quite, I mean, the police are quite underfunded to be able to even do crime mapping up, science lab to assess crimes. None of those things are in place. So Liberians are certainly at the mercy of God in that country with respect to crime. The proliferation of drugs, $100 million worth of drugs was captured the other day. So, we are vulnerable. The proliferation of Zogos in the streets of Monrovia. So lots of things that the American government and other international governments, such as the United Kingdom, when you look at all of the travel advisory on Liberia, they tell you be very careful. Armed robberies high to moderate or moderate to high. So that's something that needs to be addressed. So the arms are just a symptom of where Liberia is today, proliferation of crime and armed robbery.
Thank you very much, Reverend Adi. Let me come to you, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. Give us your introduction on this discussion, the discovery of ammunition at the Liberia Freeport.
At least you are gracious enough to say discovery. The police chief said they capture arms and ammunition. It's no, I mean, this is serious. He said they capture arms and ammunition at the Freeport. I mean, the investigation has been botched from the beginning, besides the name calling and the way they're going about with the investigation. As a student of criminal justice, they had a press conference. They're using their bare hands to touch the arms and ammunition, not even wearing gloves. And that just says a lot. For evidence gathering sake, you need to wear gloves so that you can be able to get fingerprint and all that. That's what people initiate from an investigative standpoint. That hasn't even been done. The Reverend talked about the seizure of drugs, and then quite recently, somebody counterfeited some Liberian dollars that came into the country. We don't see how these investigations end in the first place or start and end in the first place. And that is a problem in itself. And I guarantee you, within the next 4 or 5 days, that whole arm story going to disappear. Nobody going to talk about it. Nobody going to know where the arms and ammunition went. It will just disappear. Whether it's in police custody or they had destroyed it, nobody will know. And that is a problem. And who knows? It is the government. It could be a plow. So these are questions that the government supposed, and the United States government is aware that Liberia is used as a transit point for terrorists in Mali and elsewhere. Money smuggling. This is something that the United States government are talking about exclusively that is going on within the sub-region, and Liberia is a hub. So when we see all these things and citizens being blamed, people in the diaspora are exporting arms, and people are insinuating opposition leaders are behind it. No,
Mm.
I suspect the government to be the main culprit. I'm
Thank you,
sorry.
bro. Thank you, Bobby. There are a lot of interesting things you say, and I promise to come back to you so you can build on them. But
Sure.
let me come to you, Mr. Ja Winkin. Let me give you the opportunity to give us the introduction on this discussion.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to say one thing that is to all Liberians. Uh, armed conflict is not in the interest of the country, of all Liberians. We are still suffering from the past. Having said that, it is too early at this time to say who does what until there is a full investigation. I got some people calling in from Liberia today saying that some of the opposition were involved with the backing of the American government because America is so advanced, arms cannot come out of America to come to Liberia. That is not true. Nobody knows what's happening. What is true is that people are suffering in Liberia, and our robbery has been on the increase for survival because of lack of jobs, lack of people to make it life. And that is why people building houses with tall fences. So what I can say, all of us, whether you are in government, whether you are in opposition, we should lay low. If the government accuses the opposition can also turn around and say, well, maybe the government is planning this so that they will rig the election or they will do that by the election. So all in all, we should be all level-headed and see. We encourage we should all encourage real investigation to see what is happening in Liberia regarding this arm and ammunition.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ja Winkin. We Bishop Hager. Let me come to you. Give us your opening comment on this discussion.
Well, honestly, I hope that issues that have national security implications are not politicized. I will hope at this level with the discovery of arms and ammunition in Freeport and Monrovia that government take this issue very seriously and do its investigation with credibility, with seriousness, and let the facts come up. We suffer very seriously. More than 300,000 of our brothers and sisters were killed. And this is how things started. Yeah, I'm here tonight. I want to appeal to the government. I want to appeal to the security sector, the police, and all those involved to please don't take this issue lightly. Arm and ammunition going to our country. I just don't know what all it been going in. And this is the first discovery. Who knows? Covered with the fact that uh, there are so many reports been coming up in the newspaper. I'm quoting newspaper about people training mercenaries outside of the regular military or security apparatus. We heard there were pictures showing former rebels were recruiting people, being trained in named places where they were being trained, people training in the forest in Grand Gila, all the other things that been reported. And up to today, the government have not come up to say, here are the evidence, here are the facts. And then the government come and discover the police come and discover. And you know, in Liberia, anything that happens is politicized. I know everybody have their own opinion. The people in the street. And that is very sad because there are certain issues that the layman in the street don't know about. They shouldn't be commenting. Like in America, when it comes to security thing, you leave the Federal Bureau of Investigation to do the work. And it will come up, they have information the public is supposed to know and what the public should know. Because the country stability is at play. For me, I'm very, very worried. And I'm hoping that those in authority will take this matter and let's get the facts. Let's get the facts. Let's see, because we are in election year. We are in election year. Anything contrary can produce an environment that will be very chaotic in our nation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bishop Hager. You said quite a few interesting things, but let me begin with when you stress the importance of this particular story, the discovery of ammunition at the Freeport. And I will use that to transition to Bobby. Now, Bobby, you said when you were giving your introduction, you said, as is usual in Liberia, give it 2 weeks from now, this entire story would die down. Now, my question is on this issue of ammunition. It's no joke, especially for Liberia. We know some of us have seen the effects of ammunitions, and like Bishop Hager said, this is how it started. This is how it started. And usually, when things happen in Liberia, pundits, the opposition, everyone, oh, we'll leave it to the government. We hope that they will investigate it to the fullest and give us information. We have seen several things, several developments in Liberia, including mysterious death. We're waiting on the government to provide results of investigation on several issues. No outcome. And you mentioned that trend in Liberia. The news usually lasts a week after the following week is dead. How seriously should Liberian? Now, I'm not talking about the government. How seriously should the typical Liberian, the individual Liberians, take this news about ammunition discovery at the Freeport of Liberia, regardless of the government accusation on the opposition government, on the opposition community? Bobby Mitchell Crawford, talk to our audience, talk to the Liberian people. How seriously should they take this information, especially given that election is less than 10 months away? Bobby Mitchell Crawford, talk to us.
Not just for election though, given our troubled history with the civil strife that decimated over 200,000 of our finest Liberians, they split over internally, externally over another 150,000. We really don't want to go back to that dark days. And just hearing the news of the importation of arms in Liberia, it should be concerning to every Liberian. The 1847 Constitution um, calls for the rights of all Liberians to bear arms, but then the 1986 Constitution was a little bit ambiguous on that until Ellie introduced the executive order that totally, banned Liberians for having arms because of the civil strife. This is something that has been not being really implemented, and now you see business people or people that are well connected importing arms in the country, and that is a problem. And I'm hoping I stand to be wrong. I stand to be corrected that the government will do something about it, but it doesn't seem that way. It's interesting that the bishop talked about that incident in Butua, where arms and ammunition were discovered, even more than what we're talking about today. It took how many? The 4 days, bishop, and the story just died down, right? Exactly. And that seems to be a recurring theme when it comes to the government investigating incident of this nature that has national security implication. So what are some of the solutions that we can put forward? Again, this is where the citizens should be demanding from their government, that you need to do something about our safety. Just, I think 3 or 4, just prior to the Christmas, Zogo invaded Broad Street and elsewhere. They vandalized businesses. The police were left paralyzed. So imagine, and look at the composition of the weapon that came in the country. AR-47 assault rifle with not goggle vision. That's sophisticated. And I'm a little bit concerned, how did that, from the American port of entry here to Liberia, it's a little, I don't know how they managed to do that. I haven't exported container to Liberia before. I sent barrels. So I don't know what the process is, for people sending stuff like consignment of goods through container here. I don't know what they do. Do they check it or what?
So
So
why
that
don't we
should
have
be,
that information yet? That's another
yeah, that's
question.
very concerning. I mean,
Right.
if an arm of that high caliber is imminent from the port of entry here from the United States to Liberia, then we should be asking some question. What are the process in place here to begin with? So if anybody speculating that the American government is involved along with some people in Liberia, there may be some iota of truth into it, because I just can't wrap my head around that. I could be wrong though, but it's just speculation.
Yes, Bobby, let me hold you there and come to you, Mr. Jawinkin. Talk to us about how seriously should Liberian take this news?
Yes, okay. I wanted to just clarify the issue of the container thing. Here, you can buy your own container, Bobby,
Okay.
and you buy your own container. You put it at the dock. You do your own loading. You get your own people to do all this stuff. The government, once you pay the fees to the port, whatever, people buying containers. You can even buy a container and put it in your own backyard and load whatever you want to load into
Okay.
that
These
container.
are real quick, Sarah. If that's the case, so if you put a container in Dakar at a port, so don't you think America has a national security interest to ask, okay, arms and ammunition or discover on this particular container that came
Well,
from America here?
no, no,
So
no.
who
That
owns
is
the container?
that is a different thing. I'm just saying the way
Mhm.
people carry containers. Like
No, no,
anybody
no.
can buy.
I understand you're explaining the process.
Mhm.
Now, I think to Bobby point, like at what entry point did the ammunition got on the container? Because I'm sure if you take a container from America to Liberia, they do their inspection here first to know what you're sending there. So if to
Okay.
Bobby's point, if they are following the process, if that container left from Morocco, did the ammunition get on that container in Morocco? Who
Okay.
inspected the container in Morocco? I think that's probably point you can correct me
Yeah.
if I'm wrong. Go ahead, Mr. Weir.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. What I do know is that because I know some friends that can really send containers to Liberia. They bring the stuff. Sometimes they got it in the drum. They don't check. You just give them paper, sheet of paper. What you have on your, what you have. They don't open and check. They just look at a list. You give them. You load a container. You buy your car. You load some personal stuff inside in the carton. They just say how many bags, what
Or
inside.
they're supposed to check, right?
Yeah, they
But
have
I don't know.
a
But
BMS system.
so what they have been doing, what I'm telling you.
Okay, no, I
Yeah,
understand, but I'm asking if you know they're supposed to check. But sometimes people just try to do their work fast.
normally,
And
like so because those who are in charge of the content, they are different company. They're in charge. That their stuff, they just pay their stuff to the government or to the port management. So those they rent a spot where you can park your container.
But bro, Bishop, that I mean, that's interesting though.
Yeah, but that
Yeah, America has a part to play, and I'm
but
surprised.
that's what I'm
And they
saying.
just let the system is so large.
So they give it
but
to the contractor.
Bobby, to that point though, those vessels or containers, they don't just leave from America directly to Liberia. It's
Right.
possible that at one of some point that ammunition may have gotten on at some point. It's also possible that it got on the ammunition got on the container here. But I'm just saying
Right.
If it
it's
did,
very
then that calls for concern.
the cause for concern. But again, Reverend Addy, we're running out of time. Let me take
Mm.
your position on this.
Bobby, you get money back, container you load. Nobody will
How
check it.
seriously should Liberian take this news of the discovery of ammunition at the Freeport of Liberia?
Well, very seriously, like I said, this is just a symptom of the proliferation of crimes throughout the country. Now, government can make a political argument. Opposition has to also be cautious that they do not become framed in any political argument government may seek to make. However, in government investigation, they have stated a gentleman in Texas, I believe, or Minnesota, on Boy Benjamin is responsible for the shipment, and we have not heard anything. But the truth of the matter is, this container is just a symptom
Mhm.
of the insecurity we're experiencing in Liberia. You know, I want you to look at the report on the U.S. Department of State. All right, um, it's called the Office of Advisory Council, OSAC. Okay, Liberia is I mean, it's completely trashed when it comes to crime, mysterious deaths,
That's
armed
correct.
robbery, burglary, knives, unresolved murders. So we are pretty much critical. It's called, they have rated us as critical. So that alone should tell us, you know, it's serious. You know, the police underfunded, not able to meet capacity. Just in Monrovia alone, before we start to talk about going outside in the interior, you can imagine what's happening there. At least we happen to know what's in Monrovia based on the fact that the predominance of our media outlet is in Monrovia. You know what I mean? But the truth is, think about it. Crime is a problem. At a particular time, people go to bed. You don't find them roaming the streets of Monrovia. That's not what we were used to growing up in our time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Addy. And let me say thank you to all of you for your contribution on this discussion. And let me encourage the audience too, to give us your feedback in the comment section and tell us your view on this discussion as well in the comment sections. And before I close this discussion, to those of you patriotic Liberian or talk show hosts or advocates, I think it's important that we do not allow this news to die. I think it's important that we continue to speak on this issue and profile on the government back to investigate right to the fullest, follow the process on how these ammunition got to Liberia. So I think it's very, very important that the government protect the peace and the security of our country. But at this point, let me draw the curtain on this discussion, and we'll take a very brief break. When we come back, we will get into the Western cluster discussion with the Senator of Bomi County, and Senator Edwin Melvin Suno. We'll talk more of that when we come back from this break. Thank you.
At Fatu's, we know what it's like to feel a little homesick. That's why we work hard to bring you the very best and freshest imported foods and supplies from home. With quality design African cloths, beauty supplies, and tasty African food items, you'll feel right at home. So what are you waiting for? Stop by Fatu's African International Market for all of your household and family needs. See you soon.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're still watching the Hard Zone on the Liberia Radio and Television Network. My name is Derek Yale, and thank you for staying with us this far of the show. We talk about so many things, including the health sector and our security sector in Liberia. Now, let's get into another issues that concerns the constituents and the people of Bomi County. That is the issue with the Western Cluster deal in Bomi County. That is the backlash of the company operation in Bomi County. Some citizens of Bomi County are having concerns over the transportation of iron ore by road in Bomi by the company, and also the company of failure to be transparent and accountable for their agreement with the senator of Bomi County, Edwin Melvin Snow. But first, let me get the panelists back on the screen, and we will get right into discussing the issues with the Western Cluster deal. Bobby Mitchell Crawford, the people of Bomi County, today they met with their lawmakers to lay out their grievances about the company operations. So let me get your introduction first, and your take on the entire situation that concerns the people of Bomi County right now.
Well, so I was a little bit so that Western cluster, whatever, is it the remnants of the Bomi Hill mining stuff that they used to have there a long time before?
The Western Cluster is the company that are doing the iron ore, but from what I've read,
Uh-huh.
the citizens of Bomi County, they are having two concerns. One is with the agreement in the
Yeah, I
MOU.
understand. Yeah, I understand the concern because the last time mining was done in that Bomi Hill area was way back when they had a Liberia mining company. So I was a little surprised, and I said, "Oh, I didn't know they were doing mining around there." But I digress. But here's the thing, though: transporting iron ore, but the way they are doing it, it poses an environmental hazard for the people to begin with. It's wrong. And anything that involves what's the guy named Edwin Snow, it smells corruption everywhere. This is a guy who stole so much money when he was managing director at the Liberian Produce Refining Company. He was speaker, and we know how that went down. So he's just a corrupt person. And today at that town hall, I saw a glimpse of it on Facebook. Some of the questions, those softball question that the citizens were asking the lawmaker. I mean, it was just like, come on, guys. So how much in there for us now? And there's one more that they have paid citizens over there. That's the frustrating part. You have people advocating on your behalf, and you see a cross section of Liberians that things are affecting them, And it like they're sitting there literally singing praises. We thank you, oh Papa, for everything you're doing for us. Really? It's a problem again, like I said. So the advocacy for them, it just fall flat. I'm sorry. You can't continue just taking the their house. At a certain point in time, it's frustrating. You get tired. You see, we know for sure that a memorandum of understanding, which Edwin Melvin Snow keep parading around here that, this is what they agree upon. It is not legally binding as opposed to what the government enter into a contractual agreement with another company. So why can a memorandum of understanding be the ground for which the Western Cluster Rally is allowed to operate? That is a problem in itself. This is where the whoever has agency, whoever lawmaker has oversight responsibility again, should be investigating that. But they're not going to do it. You know that Ed Snow is in deep doo-doo if he's making the rounds on all the different radio stations just to explain the one deal. So you know that's a serious problem. We also saw the letter from what's his name, Samuel Jackson, and that's a true story. This is what goes on in Liberia. But again, it's business as usual. And like any other political story, give it 2 or 3 days, it's just going to die right down and back to the same way of operating. And it's unfortunate.
Thank you very much, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. Let me come to you, Mr. Jai Winkin. The people of Bomi County are having issues concerning the corporation of the Western Cluster company in Bomi County. Give us your introduction on this discussion, Mr. Jai Winkin.
Well, it's just the same thing happening in Liberia all the time. Those in power and investors just agreed to do something that will benefit both parties, leaving the citizenry out. That has been the issue from time to time in Liberia. Like Crawford just said, you have citizens that want to express themselves. They end up praising, giving praises to the company and Snow, all of that. So that means that they were given something. And the reason why we didn't go anywhere is that those in the law-making body, they getting kickback. I remember very well when Batika was asked about that question, he was angry on the show about getting kickback about what's going on in Liberia. So really, we have a serious problem in Liberia. What's going on in Bomi is not different. It's the story of Liberia. So Liberians themselves, as I said earlier, if we keep relying on our people in power, if we don't show to them that we have everything in Liberia that belongs to everybody, not for only those in power, we will continue to suffer. So I will encourage not only those in bombing, but it should be concerning to all Liberians. Because if the company does better, that will improve the lives of Liberia, that will improve Liberia as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jai Winkin. Reverend Adi, let me come to you on this Western Cluster issue. Give us your introduction on the discussion.
Well, the Western Cluster deal started in 2011 between the Lrtn-led government in 2011, which was a 25-year mineral agreement, MDA, mineral development agreement. As a result of the coronavirus, they stopped. And then, they hadn't exported any oil, they stopped and said that Ebola, then coronavirus, they stopped and said they could not operate, went back to India. But this was something that had to do with this company called Goa and El Anito, right? So when they went back, because of the health crisis in the world, they were owing Liberian government $20 million. So Honorable Melvin Snow decided to go and see how he could bring them back to Liberia. And when he went to negotiate that, he came back, signed an MOU with the Liberian government, waiving some $10 million in taxes of the $20 million that they owe us. So all of those things raised some political concerns, like what did they deserve to kind of be forgiven of that kind of
amount of taxes. Also, the Western cluster comprised of three counties, Bomi County, Bapolu, and Kipma County, from which they will be extracting iron ore for export. One of the challenges when they first signed this thing, quite frankly, in 2011 with the Liberian government, they were supposed to construct a railroad, but that would have taken time. So they agreed that they would truck the iron ore by road at 7 p.m. when there's less human beings traveling on the road to prevent the environmental hazards that it poses. So I think the political challenge is why they waive, that amount of money, and why hasn't the counties received their social development funds? What they call the corporate responsibility fund, CRS. Bapolu, Cape Mount, and Bomi was supposed to receive some $2.8 million as part of their infrastructure development of schools and other areas. So in the words of Mr. Snow, he claimed that he went back and engaged these people, but did not really participate in the signing of the MOU. That was done by the Justice Minister Musa Dane, the National Investment Commission head, and our Finance Minister, as well as the Lands and Mines Minister. But the political implication is that you guys have signed a new deal that disenfranchises economically those counties who have yet to receive their monies, while at the same time we've waived the taxes for this company. So people want to know, to what end did you eradicate those taxes and only allow them to give you the amount that they give you, whilst the county haven't received what was rightly due them?
Well, thank you so much, Reverend Adi, for breaking that down to our audience. Now, on this Western Cluster deal, of course, here it concerns the people of Bomi County, but we discuss national issues. But let's focus on the role, Edwin Snow, the role of the lawmaker in this entire case. We know that this week he backed up from this entire Western Cluster controversy. He said that he does not want to be blamed for whatever is going on. But let's talk about the role. Is the senator of Bomi County, Edwin Melvin Snow, playing his role as a senator? Is that does that fall under his responsibility as a lawmaker from that county? Let me come to you, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. Talk to us about that.
Regarding Kasari, I was just looking at you. So could you rephrase it? Kasari.
Yes, Edwin Melvin, the senator of Bomi County, Edwin Snow role. Do you think that is the role of a lawmaker? Is that what he should be doing? Like Reverend Adi just broke it down. He negotiated. He brought Western Cluster back to the country. Now, talk to us about his role in this.
But remember now, besides him being the senator from Bomi County, I think he's out of the chairman on investment though in the Senate. So that is within his preview to that's his constitutional responsibility to exercise that. So he's supposed to be.
But this week at this end, he back up. He washes his hands from all of this
because of the political pressure. You know that you see, we have to be very careful here. But again, when somebody the life of Edwin Snow and other people. They say the best predator of current behavior is to take a retrospect on past behavior. This is not the first time Mr. Snow has been involved in corrupt practices. So whenever anything of this nature comes about, people can't help but speculate. And there may be some iota of truth in what they are speculating about. And the fact that Jackson went on social media and just gave that explosive comment about bribery, it just raised the conversation to a whole new level. So he's the chairperson on investment and banking. Edwin Snow, I stand to be corrected the last time I checked. And then he's the representative from Bomi County, the representative from Bomi County.
Senator right now.
Oh, senator. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. He upgraded. Yeah. He's senator from Bomi County. So he feels that he's exercising his constitutional responsibility, by playing a dual role, advocating in good faith, I hope, with the Liberian government on behalf of the people of Bomi. And the frustrating part when he said that, I don't know what the other candidates didn't get, I only concerned about Bomi. That was just, the wrong statement to make. I was like, oh, wow, ready?
Thank you.
Lawmakers
Thank you, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. Mr. Jawinkin, let me come to you on the role of the Senator of Bomi County, Edwin Snow. Talk to us about his role. This week we learned that he told the Legislative Caucus of Bomi County that he does not want to have anything to do with the Western Cluster deal. Talk to us about that.
Well, in the first place, it is not the responsibilities of our lawmakers to undertake projects, which is being done in Liberia. Yes, it is their responsibility to negotiate and have oversight over projects, but to get involved is the wrong thing for which the country is suffering up to this point. Because if anything goes wrong, who does the investigation? They are the one that's supposed to be doing that, but instead they are involved into project implementation as lawmakers. Not only Snow alone, they build projects, they build clinics in the other stuff. So what I'm saying in short is that I don't know what level of involvement Snow has, but I would not be surprised. As Bobby said, Snow is not the only person that is involved in the corruption or the company. That's why our projects in Liberia, they are substandard, because our leaders are getting cut from whatever goes on in Liberia. Um, so, as I said consistently here, unless the structure of government is changing in Liberia, we will continue to face that problem.
Thank you, Mr. Jawinkin and Reverend Adi. Let me come back. Let me come back to you now. Of course, I would love to ask you about the role of Bomi County Senator in this entire Western Cluster saga. But you lay out the entire issues to our audience. Is there hope for the people of Bomi County, given what it is right now? Is there hope for the people of Bomi County? And also talk to us about the lawmaker role in this entire saga.
Well, I think any investment in Liberia gives hope to the people of that county. We just want to make sure that the environment is secure as people are making these investments. We want to make sure that government is monitoring these companies that have signed MDAs, Mineral Development Agreement, so that they will fulfill their corporate social responsibility. That includes the environmental care that's needed to prevent, for example, the proliferation of diseases by trucking these iron ore. And now they claim that in the MOU, or in the MOU, that Western Cluster would truck the iron ore at night, 7 p.m., which means not many people will be on the road. They're supposed to rehabilitate the port and so forth and so on, and as well as invest in infrastructure, health, and education of those counties. Not I believe, but the agreement annually, each county was supposed to receive $950,000, right? But I think the very concern here is these people were owing Liberia $20 million. They waived $10 million, all right? And people are very curious to know why they waive $10 million. And they were claiming that the company said, but since we've been in Liberia, we've not exported anything. And then we shut down operations. So give us 1 year to truck IMO, I think about 3 million tons. I stand corrected on that before they can be able to do something else. But they've made $5 million, and some $4.5 million is supposed to be paid again as taxes. Out of that money, $2.8 million are supposed to go to the 3 counties forming Bapulu and Kidman County. Now, what they do with that money to improve the welfare of the Kidmantinians, the people from Bapulu and Bomi, remains government's prerogative. But I think if government is entering into these international contracts within the extractive industry, there's a need for them to make sure that companies fulfill their due side of the deal and not just rush out of desperation to sign contracts that economically disenfranchises the people.
Thank you. But speak to us also on the role of the lawmaker in this entire deal.
Right. So, quite frankly, I personally don't see why any lawmaker. I don't see anything in the law so far, and I stand to be corrected, that prevents a lawmaker from initiating investments in Liberia. But as far as in-depth involvement, that's why we have the National Investment Commission.
Right. whose responsibility is that to fulfill, to attract investment. So you can be a lead for investment, but not intentionally involved simply because of conflict of interest potentially.
Thank you so much, Reverend Addy. I just got an alert that we have run out of time for this discussion. So I'd like to thank you guys so much for your contribution to this discussions on the Western Cluster deal and also on the discussion on our health sector and security sector. But for now, let's take a brief break, and when we come back, we will get into our icebreaker round of the hard zone. Guys, continue to engage the program in the comment section. My name is Derek Kelly, and you're watching the hard zone. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Theophilus Julukon Nelson I. I am the founder and CEO of Lift Africa LLC. Lift Africa started as an employment agency that has sought the employment of immigrants coming to the US and finding ways and means to be able to start life in this great country. Now we have added airport pickups and drop, car rental, hall rental. As you see, we have a new business location. We started with just a little office part, but today we have a whole complex that we can do a lot of stuff with.
Hello everyone, my name is Geneva Krantz. I'm the Executive Administrator of Uplift Africa. We have an excellent employment rate at our company. We work with and for you regardless of your situation. If you've ever been in prison, maybe your background isn't great, do not worry. We have a place for you here. We believe in equal opportunity for everyone, especially you. So sign up today and begin earning.
My name is Emmanuel B. Horton, Operational Director for Live Africa. Live Africa is the place to be.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're still watching the Hot Zone on the Liberia Radio and Television Network. My name is Derek Galley, and you've reached this point with us. This is the icebreaker round. Before I get into that, let me get my panelists back on the screen. And guys, if you're watching us, thank you so much for reaching this far with us on the show. We have reached this round. This is the fans' favorite round. This is where we get to take a break from discussions concerning national issues and talk about everyday life. So today icebreaker question is a very interesting one. It's a diaspora question, specifically the United States. So before I ask the icebreaker question, let me encourage you in the audience to give us your contribution in the comment section and encourage your friends and family to follow the network on Facebook and YouTube. That is the Liberia Radio and Television Network or the Lrtn Live Facebook page. The icebreaker question for this episode and tonight, it is, out of all the states in the United States of America, all the states and cities you have visited, which has your favorite Liberian community? And tell us why. I'll read that again. Out of all the states or cities you visited in the US, which has your favorite Liberia community? Reverend Addy, let me give you.
Well, I've been.
Go ahead.
Well, I've been in Pennsylvania for some time now. Predominantly, most of my years I've been in the States. So I would choose Pennsylvania. And this is why I'm doing ministry in Delaware County, outside of Philadelphia. And the Liberians here have been very wonderful. We have a very close-knit community. We support one another in spite of our, social challenges here and there. We have a faith-based community that is, quite frankly, united. There are several different subgroups that support people when we've lost loved ones. We have the Friends Initiative that raise money to support people in the community who have lost loved ones. So it's a very supportive community.
the faith-based as well as other local organizations.
Thank you very much, Reverend Adi and Mr. Ja Wenkin Wian. Tell us, out of all the states or cities you have visited, which has your favorite Liberian community?
Where I would think to me is Grand Fox, where I am right now, because I live in Massachusetts for a long time.
Man,
Where
too cold over there, man.
no, I'm talking about. He talks about a community.
Mhm.
So here we are not many, but this is where I even came in this city. I see most young Liberians are in college. They are in school. They're highly involved in the crime in this place, and the Liberian community also engages with the other African. They have one spot. They call it the African community. All of them pay for that hall. So if anything happens, whether it's Somalian, whether this, everybody coming together. So the togetherness here is quite different than where, even though in Worcester, Massachusetts, there were large population of Liberians. There were a lot of conflicts here and there. There were a lot of partying, but what really impressed me here is that Liberians here are really going to school.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ja Wenkin Wian and the Lord Mayor of Bentall, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. Talk to us about your favorite Liberian community out of all the states or city you have visited in the US.
I will have to say Pennsylvania because that come as a surprise because I just got visiting there. And, I mean, it's like a center point. You got New York where they got Liberians, Staten Island, and you got Virginia, the tri-state, and everybody, Delaware, Pennsylvania, right there. When I came to the United States, I stopped in Providence, Rhode Island, but there's nothing like that Pennsylvania hospitality. I spent over a decade in Minnesota, but it's just too cold. So I think Pennsylvania is the best place so far for me. My favorite Latino community.
Pennsylvania,
You better come by the Minnesota.
Oh no, it's just no, man.
well,
It's just
Brother-in-law.
I got a friend. Yeah, I got a friend on Fairgrade. I see people just the camaraderie. I mean, the people. It's just vibrant. I just love it.
wait, which one? What community did you pick again, Mr. Weir? Oh, the one in Rhode Island,
No, he
No, I
said
said I said Grand Fox.
Grand
Not
Grand
Fox.
Vancouver.
Fox.
Grand Fox.
The
So
population
you
of
pick
Nigeria, like
Pennsylvania, and Reverend Adi pick Pennsylvania.
yeah.
But yeah, my take, if you talk about Liberian community in the U.S., it's not. I mean, you have to talk about Trenton, New Jersey.
It's the same era too.
I mean, it is my favorite Liberian community. Well, I may be biased here because that's the first Liberian community I was introduced to when I first came to the States, and that's why I got my first job. And the first job I was working in this one warehouse. It's almost like a Liberian person owned the company. You can't hear any series. The first day I entered, so Liberian English, so Liberian English. But I think, in my opinion, that is the best. My favorite Liberian community. I shouldn't say best. My favorite Liberian community is, though we have our own challenge here as far as leadership is concerned. I think there are a lot of activity that are going on in Trenton, in Jersey, and I would say shout out to that Liberian community. So those of you watching us on Facebook or on YouTube, you can leave us your contribution on this icebreaker round. Tell us in the comment section what is your favorite Liberian community in the states and cities of the US you have visited. For now, that would do it for the icebreaker round, and I would like to take a brief. No, actually, there's no break at this point in time. I would like to give you guys the opportunity to close out on this segment, on this episode of The Horizon, beginning with you, Mr. Ja Winkin. Give us your closing remark for this episode on The Horizon tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, my fellow Liberians. It is concerning that we are hearing about the discovery of arms in Liberia at this time. We have had a war. We are still recovering from it. We have disagreements, but the use of force of arm is not the solution. The elections are coming, meaning vote for president, vote for representative, vote for senator. The best way to resolve our issues is either you vote after election, don't just sit back. Let's get engaged. Demand our government to abide by the Constitution. Don't just vote and go sit down. It is your right to demand your government to work for you. Article 1 is clear. The purpose of serving is to serve the Liberian people and protect them. So I'm calling on you to take part, get involved, don't sit back. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ja Winkin Weird, and thank you for your contribution as always on this, on this show, on this episode. Thank you so much. Let's come to you, Reverend Addy. Give us your closing remark on this episode.
Well, I first of all want to say thank you very much for the privilege to participate in the Liberian Television Network. It's a very vibrant entity, and I like to always encourage Liberians to be an avid listener to this very highly esteemed network. I just like to advise the Liberian government to do more in investing in education and health, a very serious bedrock for the future of our nation. Infrastructure around parks, can be a long-term thing, but until we secure a healthy population and an educated population, we may not be able to maintain parks or playgrounds when Liberia deserves more as far as human development is concerned. Our HDI, Human Development Index around life expectancy, education, and income, it's very low. And I'd like to see government make such investment in that. Hopefully, the government will make some allocation more in the healthcare, education, and it's serious. The future of our nation is bigger than us. We may be leaving the stage, who knows? But there's a generation coming after us that do not speak the English that we today speak, that have benefited from the Liberia of yesteryears. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Addy, for your contribution as always on the Horizon. It's a pleasure to have you. But now let's move on to Bobby Mitchell Crawford. Give us your closing remark on this episode.
I'm happy that the kilowatt electricity kilowatt for Liberia was 38 cents per kilowatt. Now it's around 0.8 per kilowatt. That is the lowest, almost on par with the Ivory Coast. That's good news. And electricity is somehow stable in Liberia. So everything else is wrong in the country. At least the people have stable electricity. That is a good thing. I'm hoping that they can regularize pipe-borne water and some other basic services to the Liberian people. And I'm hoping also that, you see, with regards to the healthcare funding that we talk about exclusively, one of the best ways to solve that is to construct community health centers, because a lot of the diseases that Liberians are confronted with, like malaria, cholera, and other stuff, can be dealt with at a community health center. So if the government can invest in that, and I think we'll be okay. But thank you for having me on the show today.
Always a pleasure, Bobby Mitchell Crawford, and thank you, all of you. Thanks to all of you for your contribution tonight, and those of you watching us on your individual electronic devices. We'd like to say thank you so much for joining us tonight for another episode. And as always, we encourage you to leave us your feedback in the comment section. Before I draw the curtain to this episode, let me just give two brief announcements. Again, and the Multicultural Community Family Services is inviting you to a Calabash Pantry every first and third Tuesday from 12 noon to 4 p.m. Room 26A, 1716 Terminal Square, Upper Darby, PA 19082 is the zip code. And also the Promise, the Poverty Action Fund for Philadelphia, and the African Cultural Alliance of North America, ACANA for short, is doing free taxes. It's calling you to do your taxes for the year 2022 for free. So you can make an appointment by calling the number 215-729-8225 and using the extension 105. So you can take advantage of that service and have your taxes done for free. In the 2022 taxes done for free. But for now, we would like to draw the curtain on this episode of the Hot Zone. Thank you guys so much for your continuous support. Continue to do that by spreading the words, by sharing the program on your Facebook page and your YouTube page as well, and encouraging friends and family to follow the network. But for now, my name is Derek Yale. This is the Hot Zone, and have yourself a pleasant weekend.
It's
Fire friend like me, fire friend like me. If you not want betrayal, fire friend like me, fire friend like me, fire friend like me. If you not want betrayal, fire friend like me.
Bombe oh, fire friend let me. Bombe jene oh, fire friend let me. Fire friend let me. Fire friend let me.
Hey, see bestie, the bestie not sweet like my bestie. The bestie da la bestie, fire friend let me.
I say, see bestie, bestie wanting to happy. Fire friend let me. I hear them say they want me go, I say
Some of them say